Today I'm making DIY Tripp Pants and I'm really excited. If you want to skip into the part where I'm just making the Tripp Pants, then I'll put the timestamp up. But if you want to watch the vlog, then hello, thank you for watching. And I'm going to show y'all my outfit, my makeup and everything. Also look at my nails. I feel like they're kind of Y2K. They're like black with like silver little outlines on it. My sister did them and she's so good at doing nails. Look at how cute they are. Okay, so here's my outfit. I have on these bootcut jeans that I found in a random bag in my house because I have 4 sisters, so a lot of the time when they don't want clothes, they'll put it in bags for us to look through. And I thought these were perfect. These are actually the jeans I'm going to use to make my Tripp Pants because I've been looking at pictures of these bootcut Tripp Pants and they are so cute and I've been wanting to make some, so I'm really excited for this project. Anyways, for the rest of my outfit, I have this like velvet trimmed shirt that I got from my sister. Literally half of this outfit is from my sister's. Besides this jacket, this is a Juicy Couture jacket. I got it off Mercari for only like 30 bucks. That's the back and it's literally so cute. It's pink and sparkly and I love it. And I'm really excited to go shopping for this project, so I will update y'all whenever I have the materials. It's been about a week since I filmed that last clip. I ended up having to order my materials online and they finally came in. It literally took like forever, but I finally have my materials now. The only thing I found at the store is RIT dye that I'm going to use to dye the pants and the straps a really dark black because the color scheme I'm going for is black and silver, so I want it to look very cohesive. So I'm just going to dye everything with some fabric dye. And the first step to making Tripp Pants is to make the straps. Almost every single pair of Tripp Pants has these straps, and the materials you will need is 3/4 of an inch wide bias tape. I use double fold bias tape just because it's thicker, but honestly you can just work with what you have. You could also just make the straps out of fabric. This is vintage trim that I found in my sewing box whenever I bought it at an antique store. So don't worry, I will not be dyeing this. I'm saving this for a different project, but just as an example, you'll take it and fold it over just like that and then sew along the edges to hold it in place. You can also glue it before you sew just so you know everything's going to be in the right place and it won't move, and then your strap will be a little bit thicker and it'll look a lot better. I find using bias tape a lot easier than just trying to freehand the straps because it's already the perfect shape you need and you won't have any raw edges. So for the first step, I'm going to move on to actually making the straps and I'm going to show you the process of everything and how it went. And I'm going to put up a list of the materials that I'll be using throughout this project. Here's that. So you will see me using these materials and hopefully this tutorial will help you out. I used tacky glue to hold my bias tape in place while I sewed with a straight stitch down both sides of the bias tape. This is how it turned out. Honestly, this would be a great color if I wanted black and green Tripp Pants, but I decided to go ahead and dye my pants and my straps black. Here's how the pants turned out. The dye definitely worked and they're a much darker color now. This is how the straps turned out after I dyed them. As you can see, it worked a little bit, but not as much as I wanted it to, so I decided to use this fabric spray paint and just paint them black. So here's how my straps turned out. As y'all can see, they're not perfect, but I think that they're gonna work really well. And as you can see, sewing the layers together actually makes it a lot more structure and thick, so I feel like it's going to look a lot better on my pants. And even though these aren't perfect, I feel like they're going to work really well for the project. I actually ended up making my straps about 3 feet long, which is a little bit excessive, but in my mind it's better to make them too long because you could always go back and shorten them. The last step we need to actually make these straps removable and wearable is to attach a swivel hook. So I've chosen a 1 inch wide swivel hook, which is 1/4 of an inch wider than my 3/4 inch straps, because I think it looks a little better that way, but you could always just use the materials you have, you know? Now I'm sewing my swivel hooks to my straps just so that they can be removable. I did this on both sides because you want it to be able to clip into the front and the back. Here's how it turned out, and you could always just attach this directly to the belt loops of your pants, but I decided to make straps to hang them off of. So I took eyelet tape and I tack glued a D-ring in there and just sewed it on. This probably took about 5 minutes, super simple, but now I'm going to prep the zippers.
I used 4-inch zippers. I used wire cutters to cut off the original zipper and attach my zipper replacements. This was honestly really difficult and it took me a while. Now that all your materials are prepped, it's time to pin everything on. You can move it around until you like the look of it, and now it's finally time to sew everything down. I sewed everything off camera with my sewing machine, and I also added these 12-inch long zippers to the sides, and I love how these came out. These are honestly perfect. I love how the straps came out, and I love these pants. They're so awesome.
So I finally finished my pants. That took me a really long time, honestly. As y'all can tell, I have a whole different hair color now, but I'm so excited to finally be finished and finally be able to wear these pants. And if you're using this tutorial to make your own pair, I hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching. Yay!